Welcome back into another edition Prime Sports World. Happy Monday, everyone. Hopefully you're all having a good day and hope you all had a very nice weekend. I'm, of course, your host, David I'm playing Huffman. Right there, my co-host, Mr. T.J. Hopkins. And on today's episode of The Crossover, we're going to talk about the two games so far in the books in the NBA Finals. We're going to talk about the Detroit Pistons and the Phoenix Suns finding their coach over the weekend. Actually, I think both those hires happened on Friday, but this is the first chance we had an opportunity to talk about it. So we're going to do that today as well. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. We cover a wide range of sports. We basically go live every single day, including tomorrow's episode. We're going to be doing our Carolina Panthers season preview episode. You don't want to miss that content. Monday. Happy Monday, TJ. How are you, my friend? What's the good word?
It's a good word. Thought I had a IT job, but it is what it is. On to the next one. Keep trying. Yeah, one foot in front
How did
of the
you
other.
first? Are you all done with your first semester now?
Other than that, I'm good. All good.
Are you all done with your first semester? For second semester, I guess it was. What is it?
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done.
All right, for sure, dude. How did your classes go?
Yeah, it was just one semester. I'm done. I got the cert.
Oh,
I'm all good.
oh, nice. That's what's up, dude. I love to hear that. Let's move on to the crossover. Let's talk about the NBA Finals. So the Denver Nuggets and Miami Heat. The series is now tied, one game apiece. Denver won game one in a semi-convincing fashion, 104-93, and then the Heat came back from a large deficit in game number two to win that game, 111-108. Nikola Jokic is averaging like 35 points a game in this series so far. One of the downfalls for Nikola, only 4 assists in game number two. They really limited his playmaking ability and really seemed to hurt the Denver Nuggets. Jimmy Butler obviously has been okay. He was really not good in game one. He was much better in game two. But everybody on Miami played better in game two than they did in game one. Let's talk about differences from game one to game two and anything you take away from the game one and game two, just the way those games went.
First things first. I don't know
Any
how.
thoughts?
Yeah, first things first. I don't know how true this is, but apparently Jimmy is going through some personal stuff. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm not gonna divulge into what could be. I don't know for certain. I'm just going off of what was said, and only one person said it. So that's why I'm just leaving it at that. But if he is going through something, it kind of explains his play as of late. Not just these 2 games in the finals, but the last handful of games against Boston too. Okay, now we got that out of the way. Not to make it sound like that, but my first 2 thoughts of the game for games 1 and 2 is Denver. Denver's gonna win this. Denver's gonna win this. Think about how good the Heat played in game 2. They couldn't have played any better.
I mean, there was a point in the fourth quarter where they missed like one shot. Like they literally
And they only won by 3.
Yeah.
Like, think about what you just said. In the fourth quarter, you missed all but like there was
Well,
a stretch.
it was a stretch. Like basically the
No, no,
beginning
like
of that
like
quarter.
like there was a stretch where you missed one shot, and you only ended up winning by 3. You were up by what, double digits with like 2 minutes left, maybe a little bit more than 2 minutes, and it came down to a shot at the end to tie it to send it to OT.
Well, it's also one of the things we talked about. I mean, the Denver Nuggets offense can erase deficits in a hurry.
You shot 48% from 3. 48%. You got to the line. You did everything like you did everything right. You played about as perfect a game as you could have played, and you only won by 3. It took it like it wasn't a, you know, like a game when it's like, no, like they missed a shot. Like Denver didn't lose, they just ran out of time. Like if there was literally like 10 more seconds left in that game, Denver probably
That's a whole other cover. I mean, not using the timeout there.
not using, and you had 2 of them, and Mike Malone.
Some sort of play.
I get both sides of it, right? Like if you're Mike Malone, you want to go, because you're scrambling. Like the other team is scrambling, you're scrambling. Y'all, I don't mind. You want one of your two best players taking that shot. You either want Joker taking the shot, or you want Jamal Murray taking.
And Jamal Murray he got a good look.
He got a good look. He got a good look. I will give him that. He got a good look. Now the other side, as to why he did call a timeout, Mike Malone, is because you don't want the Heat to, 1, set their defense, 2, make subs for more favorable matchups. Because if you call a timeout there, you make a sub, you probably get a Heat lineup of Jimmy, Caleb Martin, Hayward Highsmith. That's his name, Hayward Highsmith, and Bam, and whoever else at the 4. A very good defensive lineup for them.
a lineup that basically stifled you for a majority of the second half. I mean, you went from having 34 points in the second quarter to not only scoring 26 and 25 respectively in the third and fourth. Miami scored 36 points in the fourth quarter. Probably it's the highest scoring quarter in this game altogether, even with Denver having a sort of dominant second quarter, really pulling away there in the second half, in the third quarter there. For me personally, it comes down to the lack of discipline by the Denver Nuggets. Like
which is uncharacteristic for them.
Yeah, but in this game for sure, like just bad offense switches, bad off ball screen defense, like just overall like cheating off of leaving open shooters constantly over and over and over again. It's just and then getting rattled by the officiating and play call and those like letting that stuff get to you.
I will say this. I will say this.
Basketball.
I will say this. Like that officiating crew on both ends did not have a good game. They were bad.
But
they were bad.
You cannot let that get to you.
And like, I'm sick of that. I'm sick of that. I'm sick of people saying players.
You have to be.
We're not playing. That's easy. That's easy for us to say.
You have to have better mental composure than that.
That's easy. That's easy for us to say. We're not playing.
You can't let yourself get rattled. You can't let yourself get rattled by the fact that your crowd is booing the referees. You have to keep yourself composed.
No, I understand that, but I hate when folks that don't play the game. We don't play the game. I hate when non-players don't say that. When non-players say that, we're not playing.
You need to be more disciplined. Like their defense assignments was just bad
in this game. That part is
terrible.
That part is true, but the whole you can't get rattled. I hate when non-players say that. Even the players that did play that don't play anymore. I hate when they say it because you can't sit here and tell me if that was them in that situation that they wouldn't react the same way.
Maybe.
You can't. You can't.
You have to be thicker skinned than that. You just have to be. You can't let yourself get rattled.
You're not. Again. You're not.
Anyways, but I just think when Denver let this game slip away by playing bad pick and roll defense, off ball, pick and pop defense over and over again. Like literally, they could have run that Max Strus play where he kind of just swings out off the screen.
It was
open.
Yeah, it was like a screen between Duncan Robinson and
it was like a flex.
Gabe Vincent. Yeah,
like they literally could have run that. They were, and Michael Porter Jr. when he's not scoring, he literally doesn't give Denver anything. Like he literally cannot defend anyone on the floor.
Which is crazy because game one he was getting rebounds and blocking shots, which is insane.
But he was not good at all in game two. And Denver, you have a terrible game from Murray didn't play particularly well in this game. Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr. and KCP. Man, like how many times are you going to foul 3-point shooters and jump shooters and just bad fouls?
Okay, first up, he only had two. The 3 points, and I didn't even like I didn't like the one on Kyle Lowry because to me Kyle Lowry kicked his right leg out at the end there. Like it was very subtle.
It looked to me like KCP still landed in his landing zone, and I'm actually surprised that they didn't review that for that technical foul that they called on occasion.
You want to know why they didn't review it? Because if they did review it, you know what they're going to see: Lowry kicking his leg out.
I watched. I watched. I don't have cable, so I couldn't rewind it and watch it back. But I didn't see that. So
I'm telling you, it was really subtle. He kicked his right leg out. That was not a natural shoot. That is not Kyle Lowry's natural shooting motion. He kicked his leg out.
But KCP still landed in the landing spot for.
And two wrongs don't make a right. It doesn't matter. KCP landing in.
I'm personally just surprised that they didn't review it. I'm just surprised. Another thing, Bam Adebayo has been incredible in this series so far through two games, averaging damn near 20 points a game in both games, shooting at a decent percentage from the field, playing good solid defense on Jokic. As much as you can if our guy's going to go off for 40 points.
No, and if I'm the Denver Nuggets, Bam, have a good game, please.
Yeah, I don't think you're not kicking yourself if Bam Adebayo goes for 20 points. Like if Bam Adebayo goes for 25 points and you lose, as you always like to say, you go to the center of the ring, you shake his hand, and come out back out for the next game, getting ready to play again, right?
They play again.
Yeah.
Like, bro, if you lose to the Miami Heat and Bam Adebayo has the game of his life, you just said it. Hey, bro, good game. See, hey, but the thing that irks me is Heat fans tell us up back to the 305. I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't know the series was over. You're going back to Miami where you were down 2-0, where the series is tied. Y'all at the, like, like, what are you?
And I also think Eric Spoelstra, even though his hand was probably forced a little bit with the illness to Caleb Martin, but putting Kevin Love in the starting lineup was a good move. He gives you size you can put up. I mean, he only scored 6 points. Made 2 out of 6 3-point shots. But he got all 10 rebounds in this game. He's probably one of the best outlet passers ever. Got that nice clear path foul on Jokic during this game. Kevin Love, was a good decision. Putting Kevin Love in your starting lineup was a good move.
I just kind of like, what's the plan there? Like, are you just going to use him in the first quarter? Like, because he barely played the rest of the way. Like, what good is stumbling upon that? Like, because like Spoelstra's too smart. Like, first off, Spoelstra was too smart of a coach to not make that in-game adjustment in game one. You saw Aaron Gordon have 14 points out the gate, and you stuck with that small lineup, as opposed to being like, all right, Aaron Gordon's got 10 right now.
Let's put somebody out there that's actually, like not 6'1".
That can actually, like, I don't know, like bother him, because every time he got switched on a Lowry, a Murray, not a Murray, a Lowry, a Robinson, a Strus, a Vincent, it was bully ball.
Yeah. As it should be. And a big shout out to Duncan Robinson. He scored 3 points in game one. He followed it up by getting 10 points, 10 straight, I think, in the fourth quarter. And it basically was the catalyst for this Miami Heat getting up and tying the game and taking the lead, because he's become more than just a spot-up shooter now. I mean, he's become a facilitator on their offense. He's become a pick-and-roll driver. Like, he's become a really versatile player. And, like, I don't know if just sitting on the pine for an entire season made you realize, hey, I better do more than just shoot because I'm never going to play like this. But he's been really important in this entire playoff series, like their entire playoff run. Like, I'm also not totally sure if Tyler Hero doesn't get hurt immediately. Like, do they even play Duncan Robinson? What ends up happening to the success of this team? Because Duncan Robinson's been a big part, and he didn't play a lot at all until Tyler Hero got hurt, and they were forced to play him.
And Tyler Hero, I know some Heat fans agree, but real basketball fans know, like, Tyler Hero's kind of a ball stopper because of his ability to put the ball on the floor and create his own shot.
He's exactly like Brandon Poole or Jordan Poole, but he's obviously doesn't have the ring and the accolades.
Yeah, like, there's no disrespect to him, but like, sometimes, like, I have a friend who says, like, right now they're actually playing better basketball without him.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the ball is moving around, is facilitating a lot more. I mean, their shooter, like, you don't really know where the offense is coming from because Tyler Hero's not on the court. Like, any of those guys can put the ball in the rock and score. But yeah, I think the difference between game one and game two, I think, the Nuggets just didn't play good basketball towards down the stretch there. They just game really. And they just rely on the fact that their offense is so potent that they can just outscore everybody. And when you play defense as poorly as they did in that game, that's like.
But it's worked. Like, it
has worked. I mean, this is their first game. This is the first game they lost at home this season in the finals, in the playoffs. It's the first game they have lost since March.
Yeah, even with the poor performances from the others, the KCP, the Murray, and MPJ, like, you were still a 3-point shot away from tying this game.
Yep.
And if you go to OT, because you, like, at that point you had stole all the momentum. If you go to OT, you steal momentum away.
Yeah, I mean, the Heat were up 10 points with under 3 minutes left, and the Nuggets almost won this game.
I'm talking.
When you're up 10 minutes, when you're up 10 points with 3 minutes left, that should be like a curtains. Like, the game should be over.
I'm talking to my brother and my cousin. I'm like, y'all don't see the issue in that? Like, they're like, hey, a win is a win. I understand a win is a win. The problem is you gave them life at the end. And you were up double digits, like you said, with under 2 minutes left. There, that should have been all right, fans. We'll see y'all back here for Game 5.
Yeah. I also think Miami made another slight adjustment where they decided we're just going to let Nikola Jokic get his, and we're not allowing him to facilitate this potent offense, even though they just scored 108 points in this game. But we're just not going to allow you to just deal. Like, you got a triple double in game one. You had a triple double like at halftime in game one. Like, it was absurd. And like we're just they decided, hey, we're not gonna play you the same. We're not gonna allow you to do the passing, facilitate this offense. If you want to score, go for it. You could score, but you're not gonna get double digit assists on us anymore in this series. You probably still will, but I think they're going to try to limit his offense. Let's move away from these two games. Let's talk about still X factors. What do you think the X factors for both these two teams are moving forward as we now shift the game into Miami? Has it changed for you? Is it still your same?
It's still the others for both teams. Everybody got to step up. Everybody got Michael Porter, Michael Porter Jr., Jamal Murray, KCP, gotta be more hit than miss. All right, game one, everybody was fantastic, and I kind of predicted game one. I'm like, the Heat, they're gonna come out, they're gonna be competitive for a little minute, and then eventually that avalanche is gonna happen, and lo and behold, that's what happened. Right? They got down by as much as 21. They, according to Izzy, they quote unquote found something at the end of game one. But I'm like, bro, there is no way that at no point in time did it feel like that the Nuggets were gonna lose.
It felt like more like the Nuggets took their foot off the gas.
Foot off the gas.
And they're like, yeah, we're just gonna cruise to this victory because this game is over. Like, and then when the Heat got close, Denver's like, okay, well, we're gonna put our foot down now, and they easily just like Miami outscored Denver by 10 points in the fourth quarter and still lost the game by 11 points.
Like, so, and on the Miami side, I understand he is going through something, and as insensitive as it might sound to some, they don't care about that, Jimmy. They see all they see is Miami Heat 22, Butler on the back. So when you're out there, as insensitive as it may be, they don't care that your personal life goes on. And that's sad because you're not just a basketball player, you're a person too. But what I'm getting at is, like, if I'm Jim, I don't want Jimmy to just constantly wait till the fourth quarter to, all right, flip the switch. I got to be playoff Jimmy now. Like, no, bro. Like, you're gonna do that, and it's gonna be.
At one point, it's gonna be too late.
It's gonna be too late. You can't just keep flipping the switch to what happened to the Jimmy Butler that got off the great starts against Milwaukee, against the Knicks.
Well, even that Jimmy Butler had a couple games where he was real quiet, and then he erupted in the fourth quarter, in those Milwaukee series, in that Knicks series as well.
True, but there was a couple games against. What was that game? Was that game 3 against Milwaukee in Miami? Well, he scored like 17 in the first quarter.
Yeah.
Like, bro, like, go crazy. We know you can. And we saw it in Game 6 against Boston, right? Terrible game. 5 for 21, whatever. Then all of a sudden, last 2 minutes of the fourth, I'm gonna turn it on. Like, no, you can't do that.
Yeah, we saw that a little bit in game 2 as well. He was struggling a little bit from the field. Turned it on there towards the end of the fourth quarter. I think those are all interesting. Let's talk about Nuggets adjustments and the Heat adjustments. So for the Nuggets, what adjustments need to be made? I think the big one, the obvious one, is just their off-ball screen and pick and roll defense. It has to be better, and you have to be more disciplined. You cannot get lost like ball watching. Really, was exactly what happened. They were ball watching. They got caught under screens, and then they leave up wide open shots. You have to be more disciplined than that. That's got to be the biggest adjustment. I don't think their offense, they need to do anything different. I think their offense is clicking.
Oh yeah, the offense is fine. I don't think that zone. I really don't think that zone that Miami trots out, it works. But Joker's too good of a passer for it to work all the time. And again, they got lucky in game 2 because again the others couldn't hit a shot. they couldn't hit they couldn't hit the shot until it was too late. Like we saw Jamal Murray hit 2 threes, but that was as the game was going on, and it's like, hey, like Mike Porter Jr. couldn't hit a shot. KCP couldn't hit a shot. Bruce Brown couldn't hit a shot. Like Jeff Gordon hit Jeff Green, he hit a three. Aaron Gordon, I think Aaron Gordon hit a three, but the Miami Heat are like, hey, Aaron Gordon, if you beat us and you hit a bunch of threes, and hey man, it was just your night. like like Joker was even 2 for 5, but you don't want Joker shit, you know. you, you, you don't want Joker.
He can't shoot it. I mean, he shoots it like 35% from the 3-point line. Yeah, I think on the Heat side of this, I think I'm not sure of like adjustments. I think they just need to continue hitting shots. Like there isn't an adjustment that I think they need to really make. Like if they make shots, they're gonna win. They're gonna be competitive in these games. If they don't make shots, they're not gonna be competitive. Like that, I know that sounds simple, right? It just sounds like oh, if they make shots, they'll be competitive. But the Miami Heat, I don't think there's adjustments that they're what they are.
Yeah.
Denver, on the other hand, they can fix those defensive lapses. I bet you all they're doing in practice the next 2 days is working on that pick and pop, rolling guy defense because it was atrocious in game 2.
Now,
atrocious.
I don't care as to what Miami's starting 5 is going to be for game 3. Do you go back to what you had in game 1? Do you continue? Do you pick out what you did in game 2? Because we seen like teams are. The NBA is not only is it a copycat league, but it's a superstitious league. If you try out one lineup that worked for one game, you're gonna keep trying that lineup out until it doesn't work.
100%. Yeah, I think Kevin Love will for sure be starting on this team. We'll see what happens moving forward. Let's talk prediction. Who wins the series? You still got the Nuggets in 5?
I think I said 6. I said Nuggets in 6. I can wholeheartedly see this being 2-2 going back to Denver for game 5.
Yeah, I think the Nuggets are going to right the ship. I think offensively they're too talented to Miami. I think they'll make adjustments. I still think they're going to win the game. I still think they're going to win this series in 5 games. I think losing game 2 is going to be a wake up call that hey, if we play around here, we're gonna choke away an NBA Finals title.
And this whole Eric Spoelstra is I'm not going to sit here and say Eric Spoelstra is that much of a better head coach than Mike Malone. I can't say that. But Heat fans I sort of got like there are Heat fans that up and down. They swore game 2 that the refs were they won in spite of the referee. I'm like, did y'all not see the 3 loose balls that should have been Denver ball that y'all got? Did you not see Jimmy Butler step out of bounds and kick it to Duncan Robinson, who then hit a 3? Like, wow, because Joker slapped Bam Adebayo in the face and he didn't get a flagrant, the refs are out against Miami? Really? Did you that's what we're going with now? Okay. Sure.
Moving on, so we'll revisit this series here after game number 4. We'll check back in to see how things are going. Let's move on into these head coaching hires. So first we got the guy in the Motor City as Detroit Pistons hire Monty Williams as their head coach. 6 years, $78.5 million contract, largest coaching deal in NBA history. He was an integral part of the turnaround of the Phoenix Suns, leading them to the finals of 2021 after they acquired Chris Paul. In 9 seasons as a head coach between the Phoenix Suns and the New Orleans Pelicans, he's 367 and 336. Just right about 500. Currently, the Pistons have a very interesting roster, and I think they have the 5th overall pick in this year's draft. They have some nice young pieces. The thing that I kind of always seem to go back to on this, this feels like they just fired Dwayne Casey. They feel like they just hired the same guy, who was a guy who was couldn't get over the hump so Dwayne Casey couldn't get over the hump in Toronto. He gets fired from Toronto. Detroit immediately hires him as their head coach. He's there for some part of the rebuild. Now Monty Williams can't get over the hump in Phoenix. He gets fired. He immediately becomes the head coach of the Detroit Pistons. What is the difference there? Why wouldn't you bring in somebody who was not a retread, somebody different, somebody new? For a team that's not going to be competitive anyways next season. Probably not, at least.
Yeah, this is a Detroit team, and Pistons fans, I know you're out there, but please Just because you got a coach that went to the finals doesn't mean you're going to the finals. This
Oh no, that's exactly what it means, TJ. What are you talking about?
this roster is at least 2 years away from being respectable. Not good. I ain't say good. I said respectable, meaning they're 2 years away from being what OKC is. It's they're no longer going to be a pushover when you play them. You got to take them seriously, or they will embarrass you. That's respect. OKC right now is respectable.
Because I mean, there is talent on this roster. Like there is a Marvin Bagley, James Wiseman, R.J. Hampton, Jaden Ivey, Cade Cunningham, Boban Dodovich is still on this team for some reason. Killian Hayes, who hasn't really hasn't. Yeah, Isaiah Stewart, like Jalen Duren. Like there's some legit talent on this roster. It's just a matter of just getting them all to go in the same direction.
Now, Cunningham being injured basically his first 2 years in the league doesn't help because and think about this. Think about losing all those games that they lost, thinking you're going to get the first overall pick and you're going to get Victor Wembanyama, and you did all that tanking for the 5th overall pick.
Yeah, you probably end up with one of the Thompson twins, more than likely. Or the kid from Arkansas, I guess, could be an option here as well.
Well, obviously, Wembanyama's going first.
And Brandon Miller probably goes 2 to the Charlotte Hornets. 3 is probably Scoot Henderson to the Trailblazers.
Scoot Henderson. Just a bit of advice: don't tell the other team that you're only working out for 2 teams, because you don't have a say in who you go to. So any of those other teams could literally trade up to that Portland spot and be like, "Oh, I don't you said you only working out for 2 teams, therefore you ain't think about coming here. Therefore, I don't want you." So
I imagine if you trade up to take that Portland pick, you're going to take whoever's left out of Brandon Miller, Scoot Henderson.
But I'm just saying that's not a good look.
It's true. You should work out for every team in the NBA.
Thank you. Work out for every team. Bill Belichick was at Bradley Chubb's pro day. Bradley Chubb wasn't falling all the way down to 30 at New England.
No. But I think getting Monty Williams, he's a good players coach. I think he's really been integral for a couple of two different turnarounds, because he did eventually turn around that Pelicans franchise when they brought in Boogie Cousins and Anthony Davis. That team made the playoffs with Rondo. That was a good situation. He goes to Phoenix. He's a big part of that turnaround.
My question to you is how much of that stuff with DeAndre Ayton did you think played a factor into this?
Him getting fired?
Yeah. So we already know the 2 back-to-back playoff losses at home, embarrassments at home is mostly why you got fired, right? You can't lose 2 elimination games in back-to-back years by 30 and expect to keep your job. But on the other end, we have a here and DeAndre Ayton, who was our first overall. You 2 did not end on amicable terms. How much of that do you think also played a role into him getting let go?
I think very little. I think it had more to do with the fact that they got blown out in their own gym 2 years in a row. I just think that they needed a different head coach in that situation. We'll talk about Frank Vogel here in a second. But yeah, I think it had very little to do. I think this is probably a good hire for Detroit. He's been integral in a couple of different turnarounds, and they got him for 6 years, so he has an opportunity to really build something there. Unless obviously, crazy things have happened where a coach gets hired and then fired the next season. But 6-year contract, that kind of money, I don't imagine you'll walk away from him before that contract's up. You're going to give him time to be the head coach there. I'd like it.
I guess
Dwayne Casey actually stepped down. He didn't technically get fired.
No, he stepped down and got a promotion.
Yeah, he's
I don't.
he's in the front office now. So
So like again, with 60. All right. So I just want Piston fans to be like, all right, if this thing is in year 3 and you don't see a significant turnaround, don't call for Monty Williams' job. You give a coach this amount of time length, knowing that hey, this is a work in progress. Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch got 5-year deals with the 49ers, knowing that hey, this is a progress. This is a process. I'm not going to fire you in year 3 if change isn't significant. So, real quick, pull up their win total from this past season.
they had 17 wins.
17. All right. So if you go for, like, let's just say
17 and 65. I think that's what the math is.
Yeah, something like that. So like, all right. So let's say Monty Williams year 1, you go from 17. Let's say they go 30 and 52.
That's
right.
That's a victory.
That's a W.
Yeah. I mean, you get to see notable improvement from year to year, and you also need to see your young players develop. Like you need to see Jalen Duren, you need Jaden Ivey, Cade Cunningham. Those guys have to
I think
develop.
he starts. I think Monty throws him right in the starting lineup. The fact that Jalen Duren was coming off the bench under Casey, I'm like, yeah, that's a problem. And I think that's what Monty Williams is going to figure out. He's going to figure out what he has, and he's going to make it work. So we already know when healthy, it's probably going to be Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, Bogdanovich. That's your 1, 2, 3.
If he doesn't get traded, because I imagine they're going to try to shop him. He's the most valuable piece they have in the roster.
I probably this will be my 5, barring Bogdanovich because he's still there. Cunningham, Ivey, Bogdanovich, Bagley, Duren. That would be my starting 5. I would figure everything else out from there.
Yeah, they could really use a wing in the draft. So, I mean, I haven't put together a mock draft. So, Prize Sports is going to be doing a mock draft later this week. So keep an eye for that content. We're going to talk everything when it comes to Detroit Pistons basketball there in the offseason. Moving on from there, let's talk about on the swing side of this. We're heading to the desert. We got Frank Vogel becoming the head coach of the Phoenix Suns. His dollar amount has not been released at the time of this recording. 5-year contract. To the Phoenix Suns. He won a championship in 2020 in the bubble with the Los Angeles Lakers. He does have a history of constructing elite-level defenses. He had 3 defenses, I think, were the best defenses in the league, 2 times in Indiana with Paul George and Roy Hibbert, and then that championship team with the Lakers with Andy Davis and LeBron. This is his 4th head coaching job. You remember he was the head coach of the Orlando Magic for a hot minute as well. What do you think about this hire? And
you mean well, I think. I don't want. What did I say in the group chat? In the group chat, I said it felt like a who's left hire, but I got to give Frank Vogel more credit than that.
I did think that was a little bit disrespectful.
Yeah, I got to give him more credit than that. Your point about his defenses is actually a very good one. People don't understand. Frank Vogel led teams are some of the best defensive teams in the league when he's their coach. Think about those Pacer teams: Lance Stevenson, Paul George, David West, Roy Hibbert. He made Roy Hibbert look good. Right? Roy Hibbert left, and Roy Hibbert got out of the league.
I mean, Roy Hibbert was a finalist for DPOY at one point.
Now the problem in Orlando was those guys are just young.
Well, he still coached them to the playoffs. I think 2 of the 3 seasons he was, or 2 of the 4 seasons he was there. I mean, because they had the Vucevic team. Yeah, he was there when they had Vuce and they were making the playoffs as like the 8th seed and getting destroyed in the first round. Like,
I don't think he was there for that. Was he there for that?
I'm gonna fact check myself, but I'm pretty sure.
I'm looking at it right now. Orlando. No, he didn't make the playoffs at all in Orlando. They went 29-53, and then they went 25-57. He was not. No, he missed the playoffs. Okay. So
my bad.
He made the playoffs every year in He made playoffs every year in Indy because he took over. I think he took over. He
Did he
took
take over
over.
for Larry Bird?
No, God no. Uh, who did he take?
Hold
Who did he
on.
take over for? Jim O'Brien. Jim O'Brien was an in season fire. So they fired him, and then Vogel coached the last 38 games.
Yeah, and he ended up getting to the playoffs. They clinched the playoff spot with the victory over the Wizards, and then they got beat down by the number 1 seed Chicago Bulls in 5 games.
5 games. And then every year, like lost in the semifinals, lost in the conference finals. Oh, I take that back. He missed the playoffs one time in Indy.
Yeah, it's the season that it's the season that Paul George got hurt in Team USA.
I think the one thing that on the Phoenix side that Frank Vogel brings, one, I think it's the new owner Matt Ishbia. I think it's I think that was definitely a move from up top, moving on from Monty Williams and getting him in. Uh, he like obviously he's at the game, he was at the game. Um, yeah, and it was just not a good showing in front of your newly appointed. They don't use the term owner anymore. It's like governor or something. I don't know. Uh,
He's the owner of the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah. Right. Like
Whatever new term they want to use, I'm not down with it.
um, yeah, they're gonna be respectable. Like obviously with a team of KD and Booker, like when you got that duo, it's championship or bust. That's the expectation now, and obviously I think that's what HB is going for. That's where they're at. That's what they got to do. Frank Vogel is a very respectable guy in NBA circles.
He's also a very safe hire. Like he's a guy who's
That's
gonna
right.
like you basically know what you're gonna get out of Frank Vogel. He's gonna instill a really tough nosed defensive, and he's kind of used to coaching these like Anthony Davis and LeBron James. He's coached superstars before. He knows how to how to cater to them. Um, when he was in, Paul George, another example, Roy Hibbert, he's coached stars. So like he understands what it takes to coach supreme talented players. And this is in my opinion, this is just a straight up very safe hire. And if you really want to try to optimize DeAndre Ayton, bringing in a Frank Vogel who has experience having Roy Hibbert be productive, getting really good years out of Anthony Davis, if you can revive Ayton, maybe you keep him on the team instead of trying to shop him this offseason.
I still think they might shop him because like if you get an offer that you can't refuse, then you got to. But I can't see. That's also the issue that they ran into. Like you don't wait to the 11th hour, and you kept pointing this out. Like you can't wait to the 11th hour because they waited till Indy offered him a deal and they matched it
within like 10 minutes.
So like you were very adamant on, hey, if I'm DeAndre Ayton, I'm out. I'm out. But like you said, it's a safe hire. I expect nothing short of at least a playoff appearance for the Phoenix Suns. I don't think Suns fans might not like the hire, but guess what? They're not making decisions, so live with it.
Yeah. I mean, you also waited too long on this hire, so.
Because the minute Doc Rivers got fired, you should have been like,
man,
boom.
Doc Rivers has been milking that Boston Celtics championship team, getting jobs,
or not necessarily him or
I mean, because Nick Nurse, Budenholzer. I think Budenholzer, would have been a more interesting hire. I think because their offense would have been a little more dynamic under him. But if you want to go defensive win championship, Frank Vogel's a pretty damn good coach to hire. We'll see. We'll talk about it a little bit more. We are going to be doing a mock draft, a lottery mock draft on Wednesday. You want to miss that content. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about the Carolina Panthers and their season preview as they look much different now than they did last time we talked about Carolina, right around the draft. So thank you very much for checking us out. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. I'm David Huffman. Right there is my co-host, Mr. TJ Hopkins. And TJ, what we do here at the Prime, my friend?
We bring the heats, and I got to get finished getting ready for work.
I'm going to go play some guitar, and then I'm going to play some Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom before bed. So I'm looking forward to that, man. So at work today, right, real quick, there were no reporters at my office today. They were either sick or had the day off. So I had to fill 2 shows with 0 reporters.
I will ask you later how that worked.
It was quite the adventure. So I'm gonna play some guitar, play some video games, and then go to bed, man, because I gotta do it all again tomorrow.
All right, see you, man.
You have a good night, man. You all be safe out there and have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you.